And then I'm going to just repeat myself. Right. Well, listen, you are all here, ladies and gents, because you don't want to bore people. Can I get a yes to that? Anybody here interested in boring people? Right? It is my pet hate. So we're all on the same page. You don't want to be a boring speaker, right? I don't mean for a single second that you're in any way, shape, or form boring people. But the brutal reality is that we have to up our game in today's world in order not to be boring. And unfortunately, it is very easy to be boring. And unfortunately, a lot of people who speak at networking events, or frankly, any event that I've been to, and I go to a lot of events, do end up being, shall we say, somewhat boring. Are we all clear on that? It doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't even mean that they're boring people. It just means that they haven't gotten clear that today's world is very different from the world of actually even 3 or 4 years ago, certainly 10 years ago, and most definitely 20 years ago. Let's look at why the world is different, first of all. I'm just going to do a little mute all there. Let's look at why the world is different. Let's look at why you would need a different type of speech. Whether it's 60 seconds, we're just going to focus on 60 seconds this week. But the truth is, any type of communication needs to be different these days than a couple of years ago, 10 and 20 years ago. The reason for that is people's attention span today is less than half what it was 20 years ago. Less than half what it was 20 years ago, which means you have less time to get people's attention. You have to work harder to hold their attention, right? That's not bad news or good news. That's just the news. Are we all clear on that? Now, there is good news. The good news is if you pay attention to what I'm teaching you and you follow it, you can be interesting. You can get people's attention from the get-go. And when you do that, you have a much better chance of them becoming paying clients. Quite frankly, let's be honest here, right? If you're in business, you have to have paying clients. Can we all agree on that? Yes, we have a message to share. Yes, we want to make the world a better place and make our mark on the world and express ourselves. And if it's a business that we have, we can only do that truly, properly, really, when we have paying clients. Because that means people are invested in getting our help. They've signed up. They're here. They want what we've got to offer. So I'm just giving you the context for all of this, ladies and gents. I want you to understand the importance, the need, the urgency for what I'm sharing with you over these coming days. You know, the reality is, if you pay attention, you're going to get this week what is easily the value of a 10K training. I actually really mean that. Because what I'm teaching you is what's going to work for a 60-second pitch. But the truth is, what I'm showing you is what it takes to get attention from your potential clients in today's world. Let's all take a breath. Let's take a beautiful breath in and out. So I want you to know why you can trust me. I want you to know how I know what I know. I think if you're going to give me your time, even if you're not spending money with me this week, you're still giving me your time. And therefore, you deserve to know why you can trust me. Many of you do know me from my first book, Be Your Own Life Coach. And when that book came out in, I was going to say 2020, that's nonsense, 2000, woohoo, 25 years ago this coming January. So when that book came out, I was for weeks and weeks on trains up and down the country giving talks, book signings and meeting readers, and it was all very exciting. And I definitely would have done a very inspiring talk everywhere that I went. I know that, I'm decent on stage. I love a stage. I grew up being on stages. I grew up winning competitions every single year, quite frankly, for speaking on stages. Now listen to this. I walked away from every single event that I did in those times with no clients. Let that land. Yep. Every single event that I did at that time, I walked away with no clients. I walked away without even offering my help in any way, shape, or form. And after a while, I thought to myself, why am I doing this? It's exhausting. I think I'm going to stop speaking. That's what I thought. And I realized, and like many of you, maybe you've had to get to a point, where you realize, actually, I probably need to do something different. There probably is something different that I'm missing. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to find out what it is. And since that time, I have invested easily over $100,000 learning what I needed to do differently. And because of that learning and application, it means that I can speak for 1 minute, 60 seconds, and come away with 10K in the next few days. I'm not saying that to impress you. I'm giving you reasons why you can trust me, because you deserve to know why you can trust me. If I simply come on here and take your time and give you tons of information, that's okay. But why should you pay attention? Why should you pay attention to that information? No reason at all. No reason at all. I'm here to tell you that what I'm offering you works. It's proven. I've tested it. It's tried and tested. If you follow exactly what I say, it will work for you too. How do I know that? Because I teach this system with all my clients. And it works for them too. You don't have to be a professional speaker. You don't have to be someone with years of experience. I had a client who had spent, Ruth, 10 years networking with very little results. And after doing this 60-second speech once, the first time she did it, she had the whole room wanting to know more. Okay, there was only about 12 people in the room. Who cares? Who cares? You can actually make money, more money from a small room than a huge room. I have done that because you're able to build a trust and an intimacy. And those, the only time I ever had that, and by the way, we're not talking about selling today. You're not going to sell from your 60 seconds. It's one of the things we'll get to in a moment. So don't worry about the selling part. I'm just saying you can speak to a small room and make more money than in a large room. The only time I had a room where every single person bought something from me, bought an offer, was when it was a small room. It was the worst winter's day a couple of years ago. So all the people who were due to come, there were due to be about 40 there, just couldn't get there. I was like an hour late to my own event. And 12 people were sitting in the room going, oh my Lord, we'll probably not be able to get home again. But every single person bought. So I'm just saying that to reassure you. You don't have to be speaking to a big room for it to work. So I went away and I learned what I needed to do differently. And what I'm going to teach you today is the structure to have people pay you attention from the get-go. Because remember, if people aren't paying you attention, ladies and gents, they're not paying you. And that's a writer downer. That's a writer downer. If people are not paying you attention, they're not paying you. Because if they're not paying you attention, you're not relevant to their needs. You're not relevant to their needs. Simple as that. And, you know, don't be confused by being in a physical room and people clapping and smiling. Doesn't mean a thing, my darlings. The only thing that you can take as feedback are the results. So I'm going to explain what I mean by that in a moment. So I'm just giving you the state of the nation. This is my state of the nation, because I want you all to be aware of the challenge facing you. The challenge facing you is great. It is great. It's getting people's attention. And here's what I think. I, honest to goodness, think that people's time is very precious. I have a great respect for people's time and attention. Please put in the chat, yes, if you agree. I don't actually want to waste people's time. I really don't want to waste people's time. So I will make that effort to make sure that I'm not, quite frankly, boring people. Oh, I hope I'm not boring you now. I'm joking. I know I'm not, because this is relevant to you. But I just think maybe other people, quite honestly, have greater self-esteem than me. It could well be the case. So they go out there and they ramble on, and it doesn't occur to them that they're boring people, right? I just maybe work a lot harder than a lot of people to engage my audience's interest. So here's what I think. I think it's incumbent upon you, upon us, upon you. If you're going to ask for people's time in a room like this, or in a room, in a physical room, I think it's incumbent upon you to be able to justify that. Would you agree? The way that you justify that is you get good. You have a structure that works, and you get good with the structure. I know there are other people who will say the opposite, right? And they say things like, hey, you know, just get up there, share what you're passionate about. People will feel it. No, actually, please don't. Please don't. People are overwhelmed with information. People are phenomenally stressed. Your audience doesn't need another person standing up there going, I am so passionate about, and what I really care about is it. Really? Please don't do that. In fact, I mean, let's be honest. Let's be really honest. We have all been in a room where that has happened, and it's agony, especially when it's the 20th person and there's another 10 to go. Or is that just me? Let's be honest. Agony or what? Okay. We don't want to be bad people. We don't want to be seen to be bad people. But holy smolies, it's a challenge. This is a movement. This is a movement for speaking to inspire people. That's what it's a movement for. It's a movement for speaking to inspire. Because when you inspire people, you've got them. They're paying you attention. And when they pay you attention, they're correct. And by the way, you have to get paying clients to help people. Hello? It doesn't matter if that 1 minute or however long you speak is the greatest speech that you've ever given in your life and people are on their feet. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not going to change their life. It's not enough. The only thing that's going to change the life is getting your help to do so. Zig Ziglar, one of the greatest motivational speakers of all time, said that towards the end of his life, he learned something and it was just too damn late. he learned that all the speaking that he did had not been enough to change lives. Because his company researched people who had come to all his talks over the years. Do you know what had changed their life? The people who had changed their life, what they had done? They'd bought the $300 offer at the back of the room. Let that sink in, ladies and gents. They had invested to get his help going on. So I want you to be very clear. Your job in your 60-second speech and every speaking that you give is twofold. Number one, it is to convert your audience to your big idea. We're going to come to that. Don't worry about that. We're doing big idea tomorrow. It is to convert your audience to your big idea. And number two, yeah, you got it. It's to convert some of your audience into paying clients, right? Otherwise, you're going to end up like me, speaking for weeks going, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like it. Right? Because there has to be something in it for you. And by the way, yes, of course, I was signing books and meeting lovely readers, and the book sales were going up. So there was that. But honestly, it was a bit exhausting. You, with the best will in the world, cannot be doing nonstop speaking without getting something in return. That's called the road to burnout. Are we all clear? The point of you speaking is to convert your audience to your, put it in the chat, big idea. And secondly, to convert some of your audience to get your help. All right, everybody take a breath in and out. So there's three things that make the old style elevator pitch and the new style, speaking to inspire, 60-second TED style speech different, right? The old style starts with I. Oh, God, help us all. Never start a talk with I. Never. Just never. Even if the person says to you, get on there and tell them all about you, just have my word, my voice in your ear. Never. Don't do it. People don't know what they don't know. Those people don't know. They don't know. So even if they're pushing you on stage saying, oh, just tell them all about you, please don't. Please don't. Never start that talk with I. Because the minute you do that, you just made it about you. And the audience knows, oh, God, she's going to stand up there or he's going to stand up there and tell us all about what she or he is so very, very passionate about, cares so very deeply about, and is completely committed to, right? Look, if it's your close family members, knock yourself out. Maybe the neighbors if you're really good friends. Otherwise, please don't. The second thing that is different from the old style elevator pitch to our new TED style speech is you're not going to sell your stuff. In the old style elevator pitch, it's going to be something woeful, like it's either going to be something terrible, like, and there's an offer today for those of you, don't do that. In 60 seconds, even the way that I teach it, it's still 60 seconds. It's still 60 seconds. I can't stretch it. I can't stretch that 60 seconds to 5 minutes. It's still 60 seconds. Therefore, your audience hasn't really had enough time to get to know you, to decide whether they like you or not, whether they trust you enough. And there you are selling something, so don't do that, right? Don't try and sell something in that time. What you're going to do is you're going to sell something else. Anybody know what you're going to sell? Pardon me, put it in the chat. You're going to sell something, but it's not going to be your stuff. What are you going to sell? You are going to sell, let's see, be a weekend in Paris for the first person who gets it right. Maybe there will be. Of course there isn't. You got it, Tove. You're going to sell your big idea, right? Your big idea. If people aren't sold on your big idea, they're not buying from you anyway, right? So what's the third thing that's different from the old style elevator pitch to the new TED style? I'm just thinking, actually. I know there's a third thing, but I'm trying to think what it is. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the way that you present your story. Here's the truth. By the way, I'm just going to pretend that you will have paid me $10,000, pounds, or euros for this week. And that means I'm just going to assume that you're paid up clients. Okay. Can I get a thumbs up on that? Because what that means is I'm just going to be really truthful with you. And if it's too brutal for you, I can't help you. But I'm just going to assume that you're my paying clients. And my job is to tell you the truth, right? I mean, I might speaking there a lot. So I see what's working, what doesn't work. I know what's going on. I also experience it myself, right? So, and have invested vast amounts to know what I know. So nobody, and you might want to write this down, because there's a lot of confusion out there about story and sharing your story. Okay, nobody cares about your story until and unless it connects to their story. Okay, I learned that brutal truth from Larry Winget. The first big speaking program I did was $48,000, and it was with Larry Winget and Suzanne Evans. And it was their first time that they came together to do a speak program, and it was brutal. Brutal. And I went over there 4 times, at least 4 times during the course of the year, because it was like an in-person. And you know, they would just go, no, not interested. You know, you get up there and you do your 1 minute, your 2 minute. You wouldn't even get that far. They just go, no, lost interest. Have you lost interest, Suzanne? I never had interest from the get-go. Do you see what I mean? Okay. So the reason I know what I'm sharing with you today is because I've gone through the work to get here. Story in an elevator pitch. It's all about you. In our new style, TED style, 60-second speech, you're going to do about 2 lines on you, 3, 4 tops. And I'm going to demo this for you today. Would this be useful if I demoed the exact, yeah, okay, I'm going to demo the exact 60-second speech I'm talking to you about that then made 10K in the next 5 days. By the way, truthfully, it's gone on to make more than that, because obviously people come on board straight away and then they stay and they buy more stuff from you. Honestly, I'd have to sit down and work out what it was, but I can tell you it was 10K in 5 days. So the point of your story is only to show your audience that you understand their situation, how you understand their situation. You're connecting a heart connection. You're not being a Miss Smarty Pants standing up there and just telling people that, hey, you've got some great stuff for them. Woohoo, haha. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to share with them how you've come to know what you know, how you understand their position, their plight, their situation. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then, of course, the second part of it is the credibility, right? People aren't going to pay you money just because you boo-hoo have a sad story and understand where they're at. No, we got to get the other part in, which is the credibility that you're through that difficult time and therefore have something to bring to the table, something to offer. Okay, isn't time flying? It's like, how the heck is 30 minutes just gone? Right? I've only just said my name, right? And I also have just realized I've got to plug my laptop in, right? Don't do what I do. You don't want to be doing this halfway through a Zoom. 2 tips. 2 tips. Otherwise, this darn thing will stop working. You know what it's like in a flipping hotel room? You haven't got yourself set up as you normally would. Let's just make sure I've got that in the right place. Okay, okay, okay. So just while I get my laptop organized, what's your key takeaway so far? Then I'm going to do two things, maybe three things. I'm going to demo the 60-second speech, and I am going to tell you what we're going to do over the coming days, right? But certainly over the coming, and while I'm doing that, tell me, put it in the chat, what your takeaway is so far. What's landing for you? What are you hearing? And by the way, there's only good news here. There's only good news, because every day this week, I'm giving you the structure of what it takes to have a compelling, a captivating 60-second speech. And by the way, you will also probably be the best speaker in the room. I'm sort of thrilled about that, but I'm sad too, because my sympathy is always with an audience, right? I have Michelle here, a client, and I happened to be at the same networking event that she was at. And honest to God, it was like, it's like a blessing, but at the same time, it's painful to look at the audience and think, dear God, you poor people. You know, she was just the best in the room, you know, and I think we'd only done, Michelle, your 60-second very, very briefly. So what's landing for you? And then I'm going to model this for you. Yes. Terrific, Sam. Absolutely. The big idea. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, there's a lot that goes into the 60-second. I'll be honest with you. It's a very, very, it's a lot of structure, but don't worry. I'm going to give it to you. Margot, the heart connection. Yeah, so important. One has to have both. You got to have the heart connection and the head. You got to have the emotional, the rational. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Speak to inspire mooring. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Excellent. Beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Mary's mobile has overheated in the car. Well, that's a rare day in Ireland. I think Mary is in Ireland. Yeah. That is a rare day in Ireland when the phone overheats. Right. Okay. People are asking about replays and stuff, so I'll record this. Truthfully, if you want to get this talk, you want to be here live every day. And also, I'll make sure that there's time for me to workshop with you and help you with this. But honestly, you want to prioritize. Sorry, it sounds like I had just about 4 glasses of wine. Prioritize. You want to prioritize this time every day. Make this commitment to yourself. Sometimes I see people skating over stuff and, you know, they just don't really get it, right? So give yourself this gift of time and focus and show up here live. I'm going to give you a workbook as well that gives you everything that we do every day. So after today, I will send out the replay and it will have the workbook with it and some homework, a little bit of homework. And I want to see you in the Facebook group. Make sure that you're in our Facebook group. And when we start tomorrow, we start to go into the script, the actual script. And there you can even put in, sorry, I'm just distracted because I have to let people in from the waiting room. And there you can also put in, experiment with what we've done that day, because I'm going to give you section by section. Okay. So this, let me just say where you would do a 60-second. This 60-second is the sort of thing that you would do at a networking event or anywhere where you are sharing what you do. The great discipline of this is the structure that you would use in any talk. I mean, look, I obviously go into a lot more detail when it's a longer talk. Of course, there's more to it. If it's a longer talk, you're sharing 3 pieces of content, teaching, information. We're not doing that in 60 seconds, okay? So The place that I shared this, that brought in the 10K, I do quite a lot of these crazy things called speakathons. Anyone who's American here will know what they are, where basically you pay for the time. They're generally online, and you might pay $500 for a 60-second slot. And that's what I had done on this occasion. They're very, very competitive. American speakers are very often very good. At the same time, I still see people, making the mistake of trying to sell something in that time. I wouldn't recommend it. Anyway, that was where I did this talk most recently. I did it on a speaker.
Receive an email for your signature, do you know?
I'm just going to.
No.
It would be from the company's house.
It will be directly from the company's house.
All righty.
Because
let me just do a little mute all. This is the joys.
Which email?
it would be the same, well, the same email.
The joys of live. Okay, right, here we go. This was to an audience of coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, mostly US people, some English. You get introduced and the clock is ticking. There's a clock and it's ticking, because the second that your time is up, you're off. And they've gone on to Mary Jo in Kansas. So it's a very, very strict discipline. I like that. Truthfully, you got to bring it in at about 54, 55 seconds, because you're going to make an offer and you need to make time for that offer. So here we go. Everybody take a beautiful breath in, beautiful breath out. 70% of Americans are anxious or extremely anxious. And what that means is that people are scared. And when people are scared, they stop spending money. I saw this in the last global crisis of 2008. Hard to believe, I know. But one day, I had a thriving life coaching business. And the next day, it was gone. Clients stopped coming. I'd love to tell you, I figured out how to fix it straight away. I didn't. Myself, my son, we had to move out of our lovely home. But when I did figure it out, money started to flow again. First 5 figures, and then 6 figures. And what I saw was this. In a time of crisis, like we're in now, people will pay to have a pressing problem solved. They will not pay for anything that is vague, anything that is general, anything that's fluffy. You have to make sure that you are solving a pressing problem that really matters to people. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Right now, people are in greater need than ever for what you offer. Let's make sure that you're solving a problem they see as pressing. So right now, there's a link going in the chat. Grab that link. I have 15 slots. And here's what's going to happen. And by the way, as you're saying this, the bookings are already coming in if you've done a decent job. And this should be about 54, 55 seconds, okay? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to jump on a call with you, and I'm going to make sure that you are indeed solving a pressing problem that people will pay you for, and clearly articulating that pressing problem, because that is the only way for you to have a thriving business in these times and any time. So that link is in the chat. It's been such a pleasure to be with you, and I'll speak to you very, very soon. And that's it. That's my 60 seconds. Now, I'm going to give you that exact speech today in the workbook, so don't worry about that. Shall I just unpick? By the way, I'm going to leave time at the end for questions, don't worry. Shall I just unpick what I did there? Number one, anybody notice I did not start with I. I did not even say, I'm Fiona Harrold. They don't care. They've already heard from the organizer. It's Fiona Harrold, all the way from the UK. Her accent's so great. They've already heard that. They don't need me to go to repeat it. So I started off, and you might want to jot this down, and I will give it to you as well. I started off with number one, a whiplash. A whiplash is a statistic or recent research that gets their attention. 70% of Americans say they are anxious or extremely anxious. You just got their attention. And then I go straight into why that's significant. People are scared. And when people are scared, they stop spending money. You hear that? I've got their attention. Can you see that? And then they need to know how I know all this stuff and who the heck am I? Now they're interested in me. Now they're interested. So I started off with a whiplash. Then I went into deepening the pain of that. It's not enough just to throw the stat. It's like what that means is, okay, people are scared. Yeah, what's that got to do with me? They stop spending money. Got it with me so far, folks? Don't worry, I'm going to walk you through this. We're going to do it together over the next couple of days. I'm just giving you the outline, okay? Then, and only then, is your audience interested in you. So you're going to give them proof of how you know what you know and why you can help them. I saw this in 2008, in the last global crisis. I'm going to throw a little bit of humor in. You always want to throw a little bit of humor in. It's not going to have people falling about off their chairs. It's just a little bit of humor. Hard to believe, I know. Okay, because 2008 was quite some time ago, right? I'm so very youthful. Hard to believe, I know. One day, I had a thriving life coaching business. The next day, it was gone. Clients stopped coming. Love to tell you, I figured it out overnight. I didn't. We did have to move out of our lovely home. But when I did figure it out, money started to flow again. First 5 figures, and then 6. Okay? Now you're listening. Now I've just given you 2 things in my story. I've given you how I understand this, why I might sympathize, how I can sympathize with you. And I've also given you the source of my credibility, why you can trust me. I did figure it out. And what I figured out, by the way, this is my big idea. Okay? We're going to get to your big idea tomorrow. Okay? In a TED talk, they talk about a through line. Well, let me just say one other thing. In a TED talk, you have to have a big idea. Nobody's getting a TED talk without a big idea, right? So this is where the big idea comes into the 60-second speech. That big idea also becomes what they call the through line. Okay, so here's my big idea. And what I saw is that in a time of crisis, like we're in now, people will only pay you when you're solving a pressing problem for them, right? And I let it land. I put a full stop right there, a period, if you like. I let it land. So let's make sure, or I might probably would emphasize it. You have got to be solving a pressing problem for people in these times to have a business. Let's make sure. Now I'm coming. I got to close at this point. I'm on 50 seconds easily, right? Now I got to get to my call to action, right? And my call to action is not buy my stuff. It's $97 today. No, it's not that. That would be madness. My call to action is so let's make sure you are solving a pressing problem for your people. There's a link going in the chat right now. I'm going to get on a call with you. Now, I don't make calls available to every person. So I will choose a number depending on how many's in the room. I've put time aside in my diary for the first 15 or the 21 people. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to get on a call. I usually give it a title. Might be something like your, I don't know, your problem solving call. I give it a title. Again, we'll come to all this. I'm giving you a lot now. You guys must be keen. I never intended to go into this much depth. You're making me do it. I hope it's not too overwhelming for you. I wasn't going to go into this much detail so soon, but hey, who cares? So your call to action, and we're going to jump on a call. And on that call, you got to make it juicy. They've just heard 30, 40, 50, and there's probably 20 more to come. People be pitching to them. You want them to choose yours. And on that call, here's what we're going to do. I am going to help you pinpoint the most pressing problem, or I'm going to make sure that you are solving a pressing problem for your people and clearly articulating that so that you can thrive in these times and any times. And that's it. I'm on 58 seconds. Thank you so much. So look forward to speaking with you. And you're off. And Mary Jo from Kansas is on. And that's how it is. That's how it is. Or if you're in a room, somebody else is probably on a timer saying, thank you, Fiona. Get off now. Somebody else's turn. Right? And you never want to overstay. You're welcome. Finish on time, move on. So let me just check how we're doing on time. Great. Good, good, good. Let me go through that again with you. And don't worry, I'm going to dissect this for you and give you the structure again. But what you heard in that 60 seconds was a whiplash. Somebody was putting in the Facebook group about, I think it was getting attention from the beginning. This is how you get attention from the beginning. You make a clear statement. No, it's not a statement. It's a statistic. You can't argue with the stats. You want a strong, simple statistic that says, Houston, we have a problem. 70% of people in the US feel anxious or extremely anxious. People are scared. And when people are scared, they stop spending money. Right? So whiplash, pain, proof, big idea, call to action. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 stages in this talk. Now, I'm not going to teach anymore. That's a heck of a lot. Heck of a lot for anyone. That's a lot. So here's what I'm curious about. I'm going to give you your homework now. And then I'm going to take some questions. So your homework is this. I want you to identify any limiting beliefs that you might have about speaking. Okay. I can't succeed with speaking because you're going to jot that down and it's all in the workbook, so don't worry. And I want you to just unearth, bring to the surface any limiting beliefs you have, and you're going to turn them around, right? And the second thing is, I want you to identify when you're going to deliver your 60-second speech, when and possibly even where, right? And here's what I invite you to identify as well. You could do one or two things. You could identify how many connections that you would like to make from that 60-second speech, right? So when I do mine, if I do a regular speaking event, a longer one, I have a call to action, obviously. my goal is that over 70% of the room will take that offer. They will sign up for my free offer. 70% is a very good result. You want a minimum of 50% signing up to your offer. I've had 80 and 90% as well, truthfully, but you definitely want 50% plus. Okay, so how many connections? And there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't identify how much you would like to make from that. I wasn't going to do this, but I think I will. I might do it tomorrow, actually, tomorrow or Wednesday. If you like, of course, would you like me to show you the math of how speaking leads to a 6-figure business? How you could make 100K, in fact. Actually, that's really good. If you would like to put yes in the chat, that I break down the numbers for you and show you how you could make your first 100K or 100K from speaking. It's really very simple and straightforward. So I'd be happy to share that with you. We'll put it on a slide and show you, put it in a handout and show you. And that doesn't mean that you're selling directly from the stage. Occasionally I will do that, but most of the time it's through this process that I'm sharing with you today. Once you get the hang of speaking, you can make as much money as you want, truthfully. It's just a question of how much you want to work, how much you want to, do your talk, as it were, right? But this is all very straightforward. I'm getting a yes. Good. Correct answer, people. Well done. Good, good. Okay, excellent. Good, good, good. Good, good. Good, great stuff. Love all this. Well, yeah, I mean, I've done so much today that I did not even intend doing. I just thought it might be a welcome. You're here. I'm here. This is great. I love you. This is terrific. Here's what we're going to do. But hey ho, look, we've got a couple of minutes. Happy to take a question. Happy to take happy to take anything at all. Put your homework in our Facebook group. Put your comments or questions in the Facebook group. And tomorrow we start with a script. Make sure that you're here live tomorrow. We're going to start with a script. Tomorrow, we're going to start hitting on your big idea. I'll give you a little bit of extra homework if you'd like. Anybody want some extra homework? Okay, so you're a little bit of extra homework. We're on exactly the same time tomorrow, Beth. Keep it simple, girl. Exactly the same. So your extra bit of homework is get clear on the audience that you're speaking to, who's in the audience. And the second thing you could do as your extra piece of homework is get clear on their number one problem. Oh, I'm giving you a lot of homework now. I'm going to give you another little piece. You could start to look for that whiplash, right? But tomorrow we'll do big idea. Love it. Well, you're all so great. I can just pick up your commitment, I think is the right word. Come through, talk to me. We've got a couple of minutes. Ahas, whoa, questions, anything at all. iPhone Margaret Humphrey is saying, love it, Fiona. I've got another iPhone Margaret. I think it's the same one. Sorry, who's one of my programs. I think it's the same one. Oh, what are you hearing? Put it in the chat. Speak it out loud. What is your big takeaway? What's your OMG? OMG! Is it different? What I shared, my 60 seconds, is that different from what you have heard before in a networking event?
Yeah, it is.
Who's that, my darling? Come through and
That's moi, Susie.
Oh, it's Susie. Moi. It's Susie. Yes. Is it different, my darling?
Very different.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of using kind of shock factor, but very but really clear.
Yeah.
People understand exactly where you're coming from, what you're saying, and people really like that. Apparently on the underground, the moment they started, and the buses, the moment they started telling people when the buses were coming and the tubes were coming, people didn't mind waiting.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's
So
something slightly different, but I take your point.
it is a bit different, but you know, people like to know.
So here's the deal. we're not speaking anything other than the truth. So you are going to speak with conviction, and conviction comes from speaking the truth as you know it to be. I know people aren't paying you much unless you're solving a pressing problem for it. I know that. I moved out of my house. That's how I know it, right? So when I speak something like that, I'm not speaking to exaggerate or shock people for shock value. No. I am one of the few, possibly the only coach in the UK who is here today and who was there then, which means I'm one of the few, possibly the only coach around today who lived through that last crisis. I know what happened. One day people were buying lovely, fluffy life coaching. I know, because they bought it from me. And the next day they weren't. Right? So you have to get to your truth. People are not buying anything fluffy. And if we're being fluffy, they're not buying. So we have to speak the truth. We don't have to beat people up. Remember, I brought a little bit of humor in there. 2008. Hard to believe. I know. Okay. But we still got to speak the damn truth. Still got to speak the damn truth as we know it to be. Otherwise, nobody is running to the back of the room anytime soon. Nobody's following us. Our job sometimes is to wake people up. Hello, this is the reality. Let's look at it. Let's deal with it. Let's make it work. Okay. Thank you, Susie. We got time for 1, 2 other comments. What else? What else you got? By the way, the best speakers in the world, who are they? Who do you think they are? Put them in the chat. I can tell you who the best speakers in the world are, who speak to millions every single day, impact millions every single day. Who are they? Nope, not Simon Sinek. Though he's very decent, there's no question. No. Preachers, pastors. Joyce Mayer, who will speak to 22 million every day of the week. It's nothing. She'll speak in a stadium to 30,000 in front of her and millions behind her. No, not Tony Robbins, great though he is. It's preachers and pastors because they speak with complete conviction. They speak the truth. They feel anointed to speak the truth. I feel anointed to speak the truth, and that is absolutely the truth. I know if I don't tell you things, you might not hear it otherwise, right? I might not be leading you to scripture necessarily. That comes next week. That's the advanced part of the course. I'm joking. But I might not be leading you to read the Bible or Proverbs, but I'm preaching the truth. I am preaching the truth as I live it and breathe it to be. And the more that you can speak and are willing to speak with complete clarity and conviction, the more people will follow you, right? This is great. You guys are wonderful. I could easily be on here for another hour with you, with y'all. Another comment or question. What else are you liking or hearing? What's a concern? What's a question? And then I'm going to let you go. And you've been great. Like you've been here for an hour, right? It just went like that. You've been amazing. One last question. Come on, last question or concern. Or celebration for that matter. Or epiphany or light bulb. Anything at all. Come on. Or I might have to ask one of my clients. All right then, Yuki, I have to ask you. Everybody else is too shy. What's your takeaway, darling?
Don't start with I.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
It's so difficult, but I'll keep that in mind. don't start, never start with I.
Do you see that? I mean, by the way, this is a no judgment zone, right? It's not about, oh, gosh, aren't people terrible? Though I do think they should learn to be decent if they're going to take people's time. It's just about your commitment to being a good communicator, a great communicator. And if we're in business today, we have to be good, great communicators to get attention. It's just about being discerning and seeing what is working and what doesn't work, right? Yeah, so is that what you see, Yuki? Have you started to notice that?
Mhm.
Awesome. All right, you ladies and gents, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you here, exactly this place, same time tomorrow. I will send you the replay and the handout to go with this. And absolutely loved being with you. You were great. And you'll get this whole talk, this exact speech in the handout as well. Amazing. I'm just going to pause the recording, do your homework, put it in the Facebook group.